Alright, y'all. Frost here with another cup of Joe. Got up this morning and I was thinking, you know, the job that I do is not easy, and there's no way to make it any easier if you want to go about doing it properly. You could always take shortcuts, but the shortcuts aren't going to get you any farther in this profession. If you do take shortcuts, you're gonna short yourself, and you're not gonna be as effective as you may wish to be. So this leads me to the fact that I'm always being reminded and reminding people in this profession to be safe, to be careful, to put safety first, to be aware of your surroundings. And to further elaborate on this, there's a lot of dangerous things about this job that so you might take for granted, and that you might not be fully aware of, even though you constantly doing it or constantly around it. I remember this one day I was messing with a propane tank, and propane tanks are not something that I normally mess with, not the way I was doing it. I was doing it on the street instead of taking it back to the house where I could mess with it carefully. But so I remember I was messing with the tank, and this guy came up to me, and this is after I had been banging on it for a minute. He came up to me and he said, "Stop doing what you're doing. If you keep going about it, you can go straight up." And so I did give it consideration, and I gave him consideration too, seeing how he had warned me at the time. I decided not to mess with it any further in his presence. So I took the propane tank, put it on my bike, went down to the nearest dumpster that I could, and I proceeded to mess with it again. Only this time I took his advice to heart, and I opened the valve so that it would release some of the propane. Now, to do this, you can't take it all the way off. You have to take it off just enough so that you can hear the gas escape. So I did this, and while I was doing this, I the gas was being released. Now, he had told me that there was propane in it, but I didn't believe how much was in it. In fact, there was so much in it that had I not already beaten the nozzle up, I would have taken it back to the house and used the rest of it. It was still cold at the time, and believe me, that much propane would have lasted me a good little minute. So, while I'm considering this, the gas is still being released, it's still being released. And it got to the point where I was like, I can't wait around any longer. This was a good 10 minutes into it. The gas is still being released because it's a slow release. It's not like a fast water running release. This is more like a hole in a balloon. So I'm getting tired of waiting, and so I take a wrench, I grab hold of the nozzle, and I open up the valve some more. And I can hear that there's still gas in it, but I'm like, there can't be that much gas in it. This thing has been going on for a good little minute now. It's got to be just like bottom of the can right now. But I don't think we realize how much propane a propane tank can hold, like considering what it is and what it does. So as I'm loosening it, I'm trying to take the nozzle off at this time. So open it all the way up, and all of a sudden my arm shoots way up in the air. Now I don't know how I held on to it. I don't know how I held on to the nozzle. I don't know how I held on to the tool, but through some random act from God, I managed to hold on to it, and whew, I'm glad it did, because it would have shot straight up into the air, and it would have fallen down from a height that would have made me extremely uncomfortable. And that's just what a propane how pro that's just how propane reacts when it's in a tank. It's a pressurized gas, and it will explode. It will, if released, it releases itself with explosion. It does not want to be in this container. So when you give it a chance to escape, it's going to do just that. It's going to escape. So, propane tanks, dangerous. Do not cut into them, especially not with an angle grinder. Do not cut into them. Do not beat them with a hammer. Do not do anything of that nature to them or with them. I know there's a warning on the back of it, but me, if I overlooked that warning and was willing to take that risk for that piece of brass, then I know there's somebody else out there that's willing to do the same thing. So this is a warning about propane tanks. Propane tanks are dangerous. They can kill. I got away lucky. I don't mess with them anymore. Even I'd pass right by them. So if you could take advice from somebody else, take advice from me. Pass by them. Let somebody that knows what they're doing deal with it. Or learn how to do it. Now, I mean, I've gotten some experience with them now. I've opened 3 or 4 of them myself. Opened one bad one. And so I feel I know about what to expect, but I'm still not going to just go grab a propane tank off the street and try to take the brass off. It's not the same as a water heater. A water heater, you can do that with. A water heater, there's no gas contained in it. There's no explosion waiting to happen. It's all just flowing water. Water heaters are perfectly safe. You do that. Grills, you can take the brass off the bottom of a grill. Nothing dangerous about that. Okay, another dangerous element of the scrap trade is the tools. Now, we all know about sharp edges, screwdrivers, razors, blades, sharp edges of metal. That's why we all say wear gloves. You'll see me in a lot of videos wearing gloves. The ones where I'm not wearing gloves, I would advise you to do as I say and not as I do, because sometimes it's just early in the morning, and yes, I'm being lazy, and yes, I'm taking chances, but they're chances that I myself am willing to take. If you're not willing to go around with hands that are all cut up and possibly bleeding all the time, maybe you're one of those people that has to go out and shake people's hands all the time or touch things, you might not want to have a bunch of band-aids on your hand, or chance that you got open wounds. So wear gloves. It'll give you that much more of a chance to get away without cutting yourself. If you use an angle grinder, gloves come in handy, because a lot of the metals that you use, and I do this all the time too, a lot of the metals that we get around do hold heat. Aluminum holds heat, copper holds heat, steel holds heat. They're very good at this, and they do this for a length of time. There's many times when I've been taking screws off of steel with an angle grinder and not thinking about it, I immediately go to grab the surface of it, and yes, it's hot. And I come away shaking my head. I shouldn't have done that. And I'm getting better at it, but the answer is wear gloves. It won't keep you from feeling the increasing temperature of the metal, but it'll keep you from burning yourself to the fact where you can't touch anything else for a minute. Uh, copper's another one that I do it all the time with. I'll be trying to shine up a piece of copper just because it looks pretty, and I forget that it's getting hot. So of course I go to flip it over and grab the side that I was working on, and yes, it's hot. Drop the piece and immediately regret not having gloves on. So gloves will aluminum. I don't know why it is that I keep thinking that aluminum does not get hot. Aluminum gets hot. It holds heat. Do not think that you can just go cutting into a piece of aluminum and it's not gonna get hot. I don't know why it looks deceptive to me. I don't know why I would think that it doesn't, but it does. And again, there's been many times when I've grabbed a piece of aluminum that I've been working on without gloves on, and ooh, ow, that's hot. So keep yourselves from doing that. Put some gloves on. Another piece of safety advice is the eyeglasses. The eyewear protection, whether it's a face shield or just a simple pair of glasses, is very important when you're working around a lot of different things. Sometimes, again, working with things that contain things under pressure, it sprays. There's just no way around it. It sprays. It's gonna spray. Compressors. When you're opening up, when you're trying to get the copper off a compressor, when you're first taking it off the bottom of a refrigerator or an AC unit, compressors contain gas, and they're in a they're in a compressed state. So when you give that gas a chance to escape, it's going to do just that. It's going to escape. And 9 times out of 10, when you cut one of the copper things, you're just going to cut the first one that you see, and it's going to be pointed at your face. And so put your glasses on, keep that from happening. AC units are the same way. They hold freon. It's in a compressed state. It will escape. So yeah, wear your safety glasses when you're messing with those type of things. Anytime you see a compressor, just put your safety glasses on. I want to say that it's not necessary when you're just using a hammer on things, but if you're hitting something, something's gonna go somewhere. And there's been a few instances where I've hit something wrong and whatever I was hitting came flying back up at me. Now I'm not gonna brag and say, oh, I got the reflexes of a cat, I got mad bob and weave skills and all that. But it's gonna be that one day when it's early in the morning or late at night when you'll be sitting there trying to get that last little thingamajig off the doohickey thing, and it's gonna come flying back at you. So it's probably a good idea to at least consider wearing glasses, even if you're just using a hammer or a sawzall. Sawzalls are deceptive too. You be sitting there sawing, and sometimes if you're sawing through a spring that you don't know is there or something, it could go flying in the direction of your face. So give yourself that at least consider giving yourself that amount of protection, even when you're using hammers and things of that nature. Anytime you're doing something that something could be flying, just consider your face and be, how much do I like my face? Do I like my face enough to want to protect it? Hopefully the answer is yes. Some of us, we aren't out there like that, so we don't worry about it. But for those of us that are constantly out there trying to just consider protecting your face at all times. Angle grinders. Angle grinders are something that you definitely need to wear protection with. I'm not sure that I've had done any videos recently, and I can't remember the last time I did not wear glasses when I was using my angle grinder. But it is very important to wear your glasses and gloves when using an angle grinder. An angle grinder sends pieces of whatever you're grinding on in all directions. Just hit a piece of steel with an angle grinder and you'll see exactly where stuff is going. But even when you're hitting copper or aluminum or stainless steel, that's still sending pieces of material in all directions. And all it takes is for you to try to get a little bit closer or move a little bit off to the side to see what you're trying to angle, to see what you're grinding on, and you're going to be right in the path of flying material. And the material is so small, it's so sharp, that you really don't want to be in its path. Now, there's also another piece of protection where is a face covering. Sometimes I put a mask on. Well, nowadays I put on a full mask. It's one of the hospital masks that was not regulated for medical safety, but it still covers the face area, and it's strong enough that a little piece of flying metal is not gonna penetrate it in any way. It's not gonna stop a baseball. It's not gonna stop it's not gonna stop a rock of any sort. But a little piece of flying metal, it'll keep from hitting me in the face. And this I do out of experience as well. When I first got my angle grinder, I was warned to wear glasses at all times. Look, wear glasses. I don't want to see you without glasses. If I see you without glasses, you probably won't be doing it for very long. So wear glasses. So I always had the eyeglasses, eye protection. I always had those on, but I did not always have a mask on. In fact, the first thing that I started wearing as a mask was a piece of cloth, like the bottom of a pair of pants that I had tore apart, and I wrapped it around my face. And that was from my devising, because I had gotten hit by a couple pieces of flying metal. I got hit in the mouth and the neck, and it took one or two of them, and I was like, nope, definitely go wear protection. So maybe you're of the variety that has tough skin and can just take things being thrown at your face, your mouth, and your neck and your chin, but I'm not that guy. It gets annoying really fast. You concentrating on trying to dodge them little pieces of flying metal, so don't just go ahead and put some protection on your face when you're using the angle grinder. And I mean, even if I'm not the one to tell you this, you probably experienced it for yourself the first time you picked it up, put it to a piece of metal, and you might have even been going at it for a little minute, but eventually your arm's gonna get tired. You're gonna try to see what you're doing, for any number of reasons. There's a lot of different reasons why you're gonna suddenly put yourself in the path of a flying piece of metal. So I wear mask around the face, around the lower part of the face. That'll keep you protected. Now, I'm down south, so I always wear a hat, so I don't know that is necessarily a must, but Me and my bald head here, it can only take so much. I'm only gonna give it so much of a chance to get a nice good cut or need some metal flying at it. So I wear a hat just out of habit. Just the sun down here is brutal, so keeps my head looking not like appealing, whatever. So a hat is a possibility. Definitely consider wearing a hat too, because it's just that much more protection, especially if it's a hat with a brim on it. You know, it'll protect this area of your face. I always put my hat down, level with the safety glasses. So, it's just that much more protection. Ear protection is definitely a plus. I'm half deaf right now anyway. Loud rock, loud rap, loud music has always been in my life. So I'm not. My hearing is not gonna get any worse than it is now. So I don't always wear ear protection. Not what's certified as ear protection. My ear protection, I'm not gonna lie, is oftentimes loud music. But if you value your ears and your hearing, and or you're just starting out in this, go ahead and put some ear protection on. Especially, hit a piece of extruded aluminum with a sawzall. That's all it takes. If you can take that for hours and hours and hours, then just go ahead and forget about it. Don't bother. You'll never hear anything louder than a sawzall on a piece of extruded aluminum. And if you're not sure if it's extruded aluminum, hit it. If it's real loud, then yeah, you're probably doing the most right now. The most expensive piece of aluminum that you'll run into. Ear protection is strongly suggested. A hat is strongly suggested. A lower face covering is strongly suggested. But eye protection and glove and hand protection is a definite is definitely advisable. That's good advice there. I'm not just saying put this on just to say put it on, and safety is not that important if you don't. But it is put them on. And the last and final thing is consider wearing long sleeves if you're using an angle grinder and long pants. Even if you're out there in the sun and it's 90 degrees outside, if you're going to be working out there for an hour with an angle grinder, just protect yourself, put on some long sleeves, flying metal on your arm. It makes you lose concentration real quick because you're worried about trying to get your hand out of the way. And believe me, go ahead and try it if you don't believe me. Put on a short sleeve shirt, put on a tank top. Don't wear any shirt and take an angle grinder out there and go shine up a piece of steel and just see if that's something that you want to do. I believe that you'll find really quickly that it's not something that you want to do. That you're going to go back inside, you're going to put a long sleeve shirt on, you go put some gloves on, and you gonna go about it the proper way to do it. So take my advice, cover your hands and your arms, and depending on how you're using your angle grinder, you're gonna want to put some long pants on too. You're gonna want to cover them all the way down to your ankles, cover your feet up. I used to grind sitting on the floor, like squatting on the Russians, the Ukrainians, that whole area over there. They call it the gobstop. I used to do that when I was sitting there grinding, and there would be plenty of times where I would have my shorts on and it would start hitting my legs and or I'd have long pants on that don't cover the openings in the shoes. That's why I wear boots now, because they come up under the long part of the pants. I would have something of that nature on, and a piece of hot metal would come and hit my foot. Now the foot is a very sensitive part of the body, so when a piece of hot metal gets in your shoe, you lose all concentration, all reasonable thought goes out the window, and the first thing you're thinking about is, how am I gonna get this hot metal out of this, out of my shoe? So keep yourself from having to go through that, because from there it only gets worse. You're sitting there scratching your foot with a running angle grinder, or sitting there trying to shake it out, so keep your concentration with what you're doing. Put on some long pants if you're not working at a workbench or something, because yes, your legs are going to get hit. And wear long sleeve shirts if it truly bothers you. You might be able to get away with wearing some welder's gloves that go up to your forearm. Those might work for you, but it's probably easier and cheaper just to find an old dirty shirt, long sleeve shirt, and just put that on and put on a pair of gloves. Might not be the most comfortable, but consider covering your arms as well as your hands. Well, I think that's about all that was on my mind. Besides doing what I have to do today, uh, Bird. I think I'm gonna give Bird a proper name. Rasputin. Rasputin has come to my mind. Uh, has been on my mind a lot, so I might change Bird's name to Rasputin. It's been hanging on there for a good little minute. Still can't walk, still can't move around too much, but I'm trying to teach it how to move around so that it can at least get from place to place. This is until I can find a way to get it to a doctor of sorts, a vet. Um, so hopefully in the future, Rasputin will be taken care of. Until then, it's eating fine. It's doing its bird thing. That's why I call it Bird. It's doing its bird thing. So that's another thing that's been on my mind. These last couple of days, I've been sorting through all the stuff that I've acquired on the streets. Like I've recently stated, organization is a big part of this. Procrastination should not be anywhere on your mind. Organization and procrastination. Organization is good, procrastination bad. There's lots of different ways that you can procrastinate in this trade. So consider what you're doing. There's a difference between procrastination and giving something thought. There's a time difference. Procrastination is putting something off for days and days and days, and maybe weeks or months. Giving something reasonable thought is a shorter time period with the intention of getting something done. So don't procrastinate. Consider what you're doing. Consider how you're doing it. Those are two different things. One's advisable, one's not. So consider what you're doing and how you're doing it, but don't procrastinate. And keep yourself organized. Other than that about does it for today. Y'all enjoy your cup of joe and enjoy your day.